Okay, let's look at round two. This is from the National Chess Congress. I actually played this game on November the 29th, I believe. Should be a Friday. But in any case, this is the second round. As you already know, I lost the first round. So let's see what happened here. And to give you the overview of the game, I was trying to avoid time trouble. It was the fact that I was in time trouble which caused me to lose the first game. I'm also playing white here. Caro-Kann, I don't have any problems with playing this out. Now here I paused, and actually I paused on all these moves. But I am moving quicker than usual. I was trying to decide if I should exchange the knights or just move the knight back out of the way. I figured if I exchanged the knights, that would restrict his pawn structure on the king side, but will also give him a tempo in development because he'll no longer have to remove his king pawn to bring his bishop out. But I also considered the fact that my pieces were all free to develop. So I thought that would give me almost unnoticeable advantage, so I went ahead and did it. Yeah, these are development moves. I think the bishop e2 is too conservative. I should have just went to d3 right off the bat. But that comes from not playing enough games and preparing for this tournament. Because this is one of the main openings played, I would have already made that decision about bishop e3. I'm sorry, bishop e2 or bishop d3. And actually I had, but it was in a totally different position. My plan was to play the bishop first to d3, then bring the knight over to e2 so that there could be no pin with his bishop moving to g4. If you see my other videos, you know that I'm using a different recorder for this particular game and for the next two games. I left one of my computers at home that I usually do my recording on, but I think this will be fine. Castle's getting his king in safety. At this point, with bishop to e3, I've already decided that I'm going for a queenside castle. So I'm going to do everything I can to keep that pawn at c2, even though I don't think it's going to be possible. I think that I really need that pawn at c3, and maybe I should just give up the idea of attacking on both sides and just play the kingside castle. It's not what I did though. Okay, he goes for a pin. That's why I wanted the bishop at e2, so I wouldn't have to react to that pin. But that also takes away some of my aggression that I could be applying to the diagonal, the b1 to h7 diagonal. There I go, I'm setting up for the queenside castle. The other idea that I'm trying to get comfortable with is, this is a speed game. I don't have to win the game right away. I need to be patient and consistent and win it eventually. It's not winning it at all that causes the problem. Now I probably should have castled here before I committed to trying to march my pawns. Again, I had the opportunity to castle. I chose to try to exchange off those light squared bishops, and I probably should move to exchange off my knight for his bishop. I really need to castle now. I still do not castle. And this is the reason why. Those four pawns just stacked up in front of his king, I thought made his king more vulnerable, but also you can consider that it's going to be harder to break through those four pawns, but I'm not going to go directly through. I just want to open the H file. Here, I really need to castle, especially since I don't have a light squared bishop anymore. I finally do. I don't feel bad about my position at all. Let's see how the computer feels about my position. The computer does not like my position. But this is the analysis coming off my tablet. I have another software at home that does a much deeper analysis of the position. Now he's trading off his attack. And I like the computer suggestion here of opening up that D file because I control it and there are two targets on there that in essence would not be protected. But I decided to go to the breakthrough on the queen side. The blue arrow, just in case you don't know, is the computer making the suggestion of what a good move would be. And the move actually made is my bad moves. I want to keep the knight off of c4, which I thought was actually a decent move. And here I'm starting to make defensive moves because I want to take away any counterplay that he could have and then make my breakthrough. I should have dropped back the bishop. Keep my bishop on the board, pointing towards his king side. And if I need to make exchanges on the E file, it's not what I did. He's pushing up that A pawn. If you watch a number of computer games, computers love to push up the H pawn and the A pawn. I guess that's really his A pawn that he's pushing up. I often considered it just wasted moves. If your opponent actually has something that he can do, because I'm just going to block the pawn when it gets there. But in actuality, that pawn caused a lot of trouble. Now I'm trying to break through. And he would not have had that move if I had done the breakthrough when the queen was still at D2. There he goes. And this is another thing that I should have considered. Pushing the pawn all the way up would have kept the queen away from attacking on that file. I didn't do that. Pushed it up one. And this is, I'm trying to rush. I'm not doing complete analysis, which is really needed here. There you go. The knight and the queen are now taking the initiative. And I like the computer suggestion that I should have just pushed up. Instead, I'm getting the king involved, which I was also thinking was a good idea too, because if I start exchanging off all these major pieces, my king will already be in position for the end game. But the fact is, my position is getting worse and worse. If he breaks through with that king just sitting there, there's going to be a big problem. And I believe this is the beginning of the end. I should have just brought the bishop back in. Now I have to make a move with the queen. I thought putting pressure on the knight was a good idea. He shifts the knight back, and now the pressure on my H3 pawn is significant. I need to do something about that. I considered what the computer is offering as a suggestion, which is C4, but I thought the queens come out, he takes at D4, and once he brings his rook over, I'm going to have serious problems in the center of the board. But maybe not, because I'd exchange off his rook. His rook would end up on E8, and I can bring my rook over and we'd exchange off major pieces. That would have been a lot better than what he did. I went with the take at F6, trying to pull his knight away from the action. It actually worked, temporarily anyway. This was a really bad move. I think if you really look at it, that was the losing move. I should have exchanged off that rook first. Because now that puts an additional target out in the field where he has better mobility, so he can attack from a number of different directions. That's what he did. He has total influence on two center files. My only option to maintain my knight is go there, and that's where he wins a pawn. Right now, actually, I think I could lose. I'm sorry, I think I could resign at this point, but we aren't masters or grandmasters, so we're all prone to make mistakes. So I'm trying to wait for a mistake. Changing off the major pieces is going to be in his best interest, but there's nothing else I can do. He was headed towards getting that A pawn once he gets to check at B4. I just thought the A pawn was more important than the F pawn. The computer disagrees. I'm still a pawn down, but at least I get rid of that pawn on the third rank. These are desperate endgame moves. My computer gives black the advantage. I mean, black can very easily take off that A pawn, and look at all those pawns coming at me. But I can also take off the B pawn. I have connected past pawns as well with my king a lot closer to the queening square. I think it's at that point that he decided maybe take the draw and just move on. Matter of fact, I know that was at this point the game was a draw. Okay, thanks for watching. Watching or watching? I meant watching. And if you listen to my recap of the tournament, I said I need to play 50 moves before the next tournament. What I meant was 50 games before the next tournament. You can watch those online as well and see if I actually make it. Okay, bye for now.